Okay, guys, this is a note-taking packet, and we're going to do some story problems on this. It's applying what we've done to an actual real-life scenario, and it says, a startled armadillo jumps straight into the air with an initial vertical velocity of 14 feet per second. After how many seconds does it land on the ground? Now, as I can see when I read this, it's got two units of measurement, the feet and the seconds. So remember what we always did with 2 units of measurement. We make 3 boxes. Now these first 2 are going to be kind of small, but this next one needs to be fairly big. It can't be just a little box down here like you did before, and you'll see why when I get to it. So the 2 units of measurement I have in this problem are the feet and the seconds, and that's going to be on all of them here today, feet and seconds. And the x is always the seconds. If you have a time unit, that's always x, and the feet's always going to be the y, and that doesn't change. So it's per second, and that's going to be feet per second. Okay, so we know the feet per second is 14. That's really the only number I have in the problem. Well, that not really. It's going to change here. You're going to have some other numbers come into another number that comes into the problem later. But for now, we can easily see that the feet per second is 14. Now, what we always did after that was we drew a line, but anything that jumps up in the air, any kind of animal or whatever, any kind of object, it doesn't go up in a line. It doesn't just go up forever, okay? What it does is it goes up, comes back down, and that is what is known as a parabola, P-A-R-A-B-O-L-A. Because the armadillo comes up, hits a point, then he comes back down. All right, now with parabolas, this is how you set them up. You're not going to write any numbers on them like you do with a line, okay? That's not how that's going to work. Okay, with parabolas, here's what you're going to do. You're going to go blank x to the second plus blank x plus blank. And then equals the variable y, equals your feet. Okay? So we have that much. Now, here's what I put in front of the x to the second, and this is the same thing. It's the force of gravity. Now, the force of gravity on Earth is the same number every time. You don't see it in the problem, but gravity pulls the armadillo back towards the ground. And the gravity number that you have to know every time is negative 16. Now, why is it negative 16? People smarter than myself figured it out. Okay, that's what you need to put in front of the x squared. Then in front of the x, you put your feet per second, which I know is 14. Now, this blank here is for the starting height. Well, the armadillo didn't really have a starting height. He jumped up from the ground. So what we're going to do then is eliminate this third blank. We're just going to scribble it out. So the equation is negative 16x to the second power plus 14x equals y. Now, today, you're going to be replacing the y variable with 0 feet. Now, why 0 feet? Well, he lands on the ground, and when he lands on the ground's a height of 0 feet, okay? So we're going to be putting that in for our y variable. So y needs to be replaced with 0, so we have negative 16x to the second power plus 14x equals 0. Now it looks exactly like it looked yesterday, okay? Forget it's a story problem and just solve the equation. Now x has 2 answers because it's to the second power, so there's 2 answers here for x. And we have x to the second power, but we've also got x to the 1 power with it, okay? So we need to do our GCF, okay? The 0 is already there. I see my 0, so I make my GCF box. Okay, so GCF. Now, one thing you guys got to get, the number in front's negative. It's going to be negative on all of these, so the GCF's negative. And then x second and x1 would be x to the 1, so I put an x to the 1, and now I need a number to go here, so I'm going to punch in 16 and 14 into the GCF calculator. 16 16, comma 14. Hit calculate, and the GCF's 2. So negative 2x to the power of 1. So I put that into the space, and that's our F1. Now I go up here and divide each of these by the negative 2x to the 1 power. And the x to the 1 cancels out. Okay? Now I calculate my answers. Okay? I'll get a calculator so you can really see what I'm doing. I can do it in my head, but then some of you wouldn't know where the numbers came from, and that's fine. So I divide negative 16 by negative 2, and that's 8. Then for x, I take 2 minus 1, and that's 1. And then I take positive 14 divided by negative 2. So remember what I'm going to do. I'm going to put 7 with a minus. Okay? And that's your F2. Now we take those first powers away, and we set each one equal to 0 down here. So either the negative 2x could equal 0, or the 8 times x minus 7 could equal 0. Okay, so I dot and circle. I dot and circle. Here I'm just dividing. I'm unmultiplying the negative 2 by dividing by negative 2, and that's 0. That's your first answer. Then plus 7, so 8 times x equals 7, and then we divide by 8, and I divide 7 by 8, not 8 by 7. It's got to be divided right, 0.875. Okay, now I put the higher answer over here. I got two answers, but I want to put the higher one over here, and 0.875 is my answer. That's how many seconds there were. Okay, and all these are related to gravity, so the negative 16 is going to be in all these, even if it's not in the problem. Okay, next one. A penguin jumps out of the water while swimming at an initial velocity of 4.5, cross out 4.5, and let's just make that 4 whole. 4 feet per second. After how many seconds does the penguin land back in water? Okay. It's 2 units of measurement. Now again, we want the third box to be pretty big. Feet and seconds. Now x is the seconds and y is the feet. So per, feet per second. That would be 4. Okay. So again, a penguin jumps, he goes up and he goes back down. This isn't a line. Okay. Penguin doesn't just keep on going up, 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 up forever. Okay. It's not like a money months problem where if you're saving money, it just keep going up for infinity, okay, till you die. This goes up, comes back down. So, again, that's known as a parabola. So for parabolas, I go blank x to the second plus blank x plus blank equals y, just like that. Okay, now in front of the x second, we're always going to put negative 16. It's a motion problem. When something goes up, what goes up must come down. And that's what negative 16 represents. Then the feet per second is 4, so it's 4x. And I don't really have a starting height before the 4 feet per second, so that will not be used. Okay, now I want to know when the penguin lands. I want to know when he's down here. Well, again, that's 0 feet. So I'm going to replace, and feet is y, so I replace the y. So negative 16x to the second power plus 4x equals 0. Okay, now I have two answers for x, and I have an x to the second and an x to the first. Two different types of x's now. So I need to see my 0. It's there. And now I can make my GCF box. So the GCF, okay. Now we do have a negative in the front. We always do on gravity problems. Gravity story problems will always have that negative in front, so the GCF's negative. x2 and x1, so x1. And then the GCF for 16 and 4 is 4. Okay, so negative 4x to the 1, and that's what I divide out of here. And that's factor 1. Now to find factor 2, we have to go up and divide out negative 4x to the 1. And the x to the 1, x to the 1 cancels. Don't cross out the 4's though. Okay, you can't do that. Just the variables and their exponents. So negative 16 divided by negative 4 is 4. And then 2 minus 1 is 1. And then I take positive 4 divided by negative 4. And I got negative 1. So I put a 1 and then a subtraction sign. And that's F2. Now those 1 powers, I'm glad I put them, but now I don't want them. Okay. So F1 is negative 4x. And F2 is 4x minus 1. Okay. So I dot and circle both of my x terms. Here I just divide by negative 4. 0 divided by negative 4 is 0. And then minus 1, so we plus 1 plus 1. 4 times x equals 1. Divide by 4. Divide by 4. That's not 4. It's like you're taking $1 and dividing it amongst 4 people. Each person would get 25 cents or a quarter. Okay, now I put the higher answer 0.25 over here, 0.25 seconds. So that's less than a full second. Okay, next problem. A cat leaps from the ground into the air with an initial vertical velocity of 11 feet per second. After how many seconds does a cat land on the ground? So seconds. Again, 2 units of measurement. We got the units, the path it goes in, and then my big box. That needs to be big. So we have feet and seconds. X is seconds, Y is feet. So per second, and it's feet per second. And we know the feet per second is 11 feet per second. Now that cat does not just go up forever. He comes up, comes back down. I hope he doesn't go up forever. He's going to explode when he gets into outer space. Okay, so that is again a parabola. So blank x to the second plus blank x plus blank equals y. Okay, so negative 16 is gravity. Okay, again, I'm going to put that. And then 11x. And then this third blank I cross out because he does not give me a starting height because he started from the ground. So that's like it doesn't exist. Okay, well, I want to find out when he landed back on the ground. So again, that would be 0 feet. And feet is y, so that's going in for our y variable. So I have negative 16x to the second power plus 11x equals 0. All right, now with that done, we have 2 answers to find for x because it's to the second power. And it's to the second power, and it's to the first power. Okay? So if I have these 2 things, I need my 0. Okay? So then GCF. GCF, again, the 16 in the front's negative, so the GCF's negative, and x2, x1 would be x1. Okay, then I go 16, 11 into that GCF calculator, and I get 1. Okay, so negative 1x to the first is the GCF, and that's what I bring out here. Now I go up, and that's your F1 right there. Okay. So divide by negative 1x to the 1. So these cross out here. So negative 16 divided by negative 1. Really all that does is it turns my negative 16 positive. Then x 2 minus 1 is 1. Then 11 divided by negative 1 is negative 11. So that would be 11 with a subtraction. That's F2. You can eliminate the 1 powers. All that will lead to is problems when you're trying to solve it. So negative 1x could equal 0, or 16x minus 11 could equal 0. So I dot my x variables, circle them, and here I just divide by negative 1. 0 divided by anything is 0. Now over here, I add 11 to both sides. 0 plus 11 is 11. 16 times x equals 11. And then I divide by 16. Okay, so I take 11 divided by 16, and that's 0.6875. 0.6875, and that is my seconds. So it's less than a full second. Okay, now I wrote the next one kind of like an idiot, but that's fine. A dog leaps into the air to catch a frisbee with an initial velocity of 14 feet per second. After how many actually, change that. I want to change the 14, please. I'm going to change the 14 to, let's say, 18, okay? Dog leaps into the air to catch a frisbee with an initial velocity of 18 feet per second. After how many seconds does he land on the ground? I kind of wrote it like a moron, but again, 2 units of measurement, the path they formed, and then a big box down there. Kind of can't be as tall as the others. So I have feet and seconds. So x is seconds, y is feet. So it's per second, and it's feet per second. So my feet per second I know is 18. So this is so gravity pulls it back down. It's like you're pulled back down, and that is a parabola. Okay, so with a parabola, I go blank x to the second plus blank x plus blank equals y. And again, we got negative 16, and then 18x, and then the dog started from the ground, so we can eliminate this third one. Okay, so that's my equation. Now, he lands on the ground, so again, that's 0 feet, and we'll be replacing the y then, because feet is y, with 0. So negative 16x to the second power plus 18x equals 0. Now I got to find the two answers for x, okay? We have x to the second and x to the 1. So we have our 0. If you don't have 0, that's something you'll have to deal with, but that doesn't happen in this packet. Okay. Okay, so GCF. We do have the negative in front. X second, X1, so X1, and then I go 16, 18. I got 2. Negative 2x to the 1. Okay, so negative 2x to the 1 is getting factored out. That's F1. And when we factor something out, we have to go up and divide by negative 2x to the 1, negative 2x to the 1. These will cross out. Okay, so I take negative 16 divided by negative 2, and that's 8. And x, 2 minus 1 is 1. Then I take 18 divided by negative 2, and that's negative 9. So 9 with minus. Okay, we no longer want those 1s there, so we cross those out. So either negative 2x could equal 0, or 8x minus 9 could equal 0. So I dot my variables, and here we're dividing by negative 2. And that gives me 0. And here I'm going to plus 9, 8 times x equals 9. And then I divide by 8. So it's 9 divided by 8. It is not 8 divided by 9. 1.125. Okay, so my higher value goes here, 1.125. Okay, a spittlebug, whatever that is, jumps into the air with an initial vertical velocity of 10 feet per second. After how many seconds does a spittlebug land on the ground? So I have, again, 2 units of measurement. This is the best way to go with 2 units. So you got feet and seconds. So X is seconds, Y is feet. So per second. So feet per second. Feet per second is going to be 10, okay? And he goes up, comes down. That's a parabola. Okay, so blank x to the second plus blank x plus blank equals y. So we're going to put negative 16 here, 10 here, and then nothing here, okay? We'll eventually put something in that blank, but not here. It's a good thing because we don't really know what to do when there's a third one. And then what I put into this equation, I want to know when he's on the ground. Well, the ground means 0 feet every time. And feet is y. So y's out, 0's in. So I've got negative 16x to the second power plus 10x equals 0. So that is 2 answers. And I need to do x to the second and x to the first, so I need my 0. It's there, so I can go ahead and make my GCF box. Remember, you want the 0 there so you can equal it to 0. Can't equal any other number but 0. Okay, so GCF, negative in the front, you bet. X second, x1 would be x1. And then let's see what it says about 16 and 10. Said the GCF's 2. So negative 2 along with x to the 1 get factored out. Then I divide by negative 2x to the 1. Negative 16 divided by negative 2, that's positive 8. And then on x, 2 minus 1 is 1. And then and by the way, we always cross those off. Positive 10 divided by negative 2 is negative 5. So I put 5 with a minus. So that's F1, that's F2. We take out the 1 powers. So negative 2x could equal 0. Or 8x minus 5 could equal 0. So I dot and circle, dot and circle. Here I'm going to be dividing by negative 2, and that gives me 0. Here I'm going to be plussing 5 to each side, and that's 5. And then I divide 5 by 8, not 8 by 5, okay? So it's 5 divided by 8, which is 0.625. Okay, and we put the higher answer. Okay, then my last one. A dolphin jumped out of water with an initial velocity of 32 feet per second. After how many seconds does a dolphin enter water? So again, 2 units of measurement. A dolphin jumps up, then gravity pulls him back down. So I need a third box pretty big. So you got feet and seconds. Seconds is x, feet is y. So per second. And it's going to be feet per second. We know the feet per second is 32 here. So this dolphin here, it forms a parabola. So anytime it's a parabola, we set it up with blank x to the second plus blank x plus blank equals y. So negative 16 goes here for gravity, and then 32, 32x. And then the dolphin didn't say he started, he went up, so we get rid of this, okay? So that's your equation. Now, when he enters back into water, he's back at 0 feet. So that's the input value, and that is your y value. So we replace y with 0. So we got negative 16x to the second plus 32x equals 0. Okay, so I have to solve now. I have two answers. And we have x to the second and x to the 1. Okay. So I have the 0, so I make my GCF box. And the GCF, well, again, we have negatives. So negative x2 and x1, x1. And then let's go with 16 and 32. So 16 comma 32 is 16. So I factor out negative 16x to the 1, and that's f1. Then I divide by negative 16x to the 1. And the x1 cancels. That's the only thing you want to cross out. So I divide negative 16 by negative 16, and that's 1 whole. Then on x, 2 minus 1 is 1. Okay, 32 divided by negative 16 is negative 2. So I put 2 with a minus. So we can get rid of those. And that's your f1, and this thing here is your f2. So negative 16x could equal 0, or 1x minus 2 could equal 0. So I dot and circle, I dot and circle. Here all I will be doing is dividing. That's 0. Here before I divide, I need to undo the minus 2 by adding 2. So 1 times x equals 2. And I undo the times 1 by dividing by 1, but it's still going to keep it at 2. Okay? So 2 seconds is how long the dolphin was up for. All right, that's all I have to say on that. I hope it's been informative, and we'll work on that tomorrow.